So what a beautiful morning here in Oklahoma. I got some stuff to do, some chores to do around the house, all that kind of stuff. But I want to talk a little bit about cameras and specifically what makes a good beginner camera. Kind of a part of the joy of being involved with all the camera gear and taking photos and videos is kind of seeing my daughter starting to take an interest in the same kind of stuff. When I see her and her friends interact with the camera and what they use, it's really interesting to me. Not so much the photos and videos that they take, but how they interact with the camera. And it got me thinking, like, what would make the perfect beginner camera? What things do they use on the camera constantly, and what would make them want to use the camera more? Some of these companies are just so close to being there, they just don't realize it, and they just won't go that extra little step that would make these cameras perfect for beginners. But it seems like they focus on stuff that doesn't need to be focused on, which is strange. What I bought my daughter, what she uses is a Sony RX100 Mark V. I bought that for her like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and she's been using it for all her videos and photos since then. She enjoys that camera. It's pretty close to perfect for what she does. But we're gonna go around and talk about what I think would make the perfect beginner camera and what I think companies should do to get new people involved and what features they will use, and what features they really don't care about at all. We're also going full frame today, so tell me how this looks. I usually just shoot all my videos in APS-C, just because what the heck. But today I decided to bust it out and go full frame mode. So I'm not gonna put these in any particular order, except for the very first one, which I think is the most vital one. It's the one that I see them using the absolute most. And I think it's the most important to put on a beginner camera because I see them use it all the time. I will tell you the number one thing that I see my daughter and her friends use every time they pull out the camera, and that's an onboard flash. I mean, if you think about it, they're using the camera mostly in terrible lighting situations, and they always, without fail, pop up that flash every time they use the camera to take photos. The camera has to have a good onboard flash, or just an onboard flash of some kind. It has to have it. The camera really needs to have a good screen on it. I don't know why these camera companies keep putting these crappy screens in these cameras. It is by far one of the most important things to anybody, including beginner photographers. But the screen is just vitally important. And they keep putting these crappy screens in there that you can barely see, you can't see in the sun. They should be thinking more along cell phone screens that are super bright, easy to see in the sun, nice and big. The screen has to be good for a new person to pick it up. Like I say, you can leave out that viewfinder. Nobody's using the viewfinder anymore. Everybody's on the back screen. Leave out the viewfinder and make the screens 1,000 times better than what they are currently. Don't cheap out on the screen. There's other things that cheap out on, and we'll talk about those as we go along. And another thing it needs is it's going to need really great autofocus. Like Sony does a really good job of providing good autofocus, even in their lower end point and shoot cameras. But some of the other companies, they really fall behind in the point and shoot category with the autofocus. If the autofocus isn't good, they're simply just going to use their cell phone and they're not going to use the camera much at all. Now I'm going to be honest with you, these cameras today, their menu systems are way too complicated. They got way too many options. They're bloated with stuff that people don't use. They really need to simplify the menus for brand new users. There is absolutely no reason to have 20, 30 pages of menus. It just way overcomplicates everything. First of all, they should be simplified Fisher-Price style. That's how much they should simplify them. But instead of the list and stuff, there needs to be icons like photo, video, what you want to do, change this, change that, icons like a iPhone. It should be that easy. All these camera companies, they really need to look at their menu systems and figure out how to simplify them for a brand new user, because as they are, they're just frustrating way overcomplicated. way overcomplicated. They need better app support on these cameras. I don't understand how I can connect to DJI or Insta360. I can connect to those apps in like 2 seconds with my camera, get in there and do anything I want, no problems at all. But if I want to connect to a Sony camera, it's like level 10 frustration just to get to connect, and then you really can't do anything while you're in there. They need to have a camera that's super easy to connect to your phone via app. You can connect your camera like super fast to an app on your phone. Get in there, crop your photos however you wanted them, drop filters on them, edit them kind of however you want them, and then put them straight to your phone so you can get them onto Instagram as soon as possible. I don't know what these camera companies, why it's so hard to just connect a camera. It's completely ridiculous, but they can't seem to get it done. And I just think that would be a whole lot better for a new user. That's what they're looking for. I know that Fujifilm has improved their app a little bit, and the new app with Panasonic definitely looks good. I know that Fujifilm has, the different film simulations, and they're great, and you can adjust them a little bit. And Panasonic has that new app, and it looks pretty easy to connect to as well. But even that is a little bit more too complicated for just a beginner user. Speaking of video specs, we're getting way too crazy on the video specs for a brand new user. I can go over to that high school and ask every kid in that high school what 10-bit color is or what log footage is, and I guarantee you probably 3 of them would even know what I was even talking about. All we need is decent 4K, 30, 24, maybe 60. That's all we need. Nice, pleasing colors straight out of the camera. That's it. No reason to get too crazy with a 10-bit and the log and all this and that. That's all for camera nerds. This is for brand new users. This is all they require. Anyway, so I think that's a pretty decent list to get the camera company started on. Let me know down in the comments what you would add to the list for a camera for beginner users only. Beginner users only now. They need something super easy to get them hooked, and then they can upgrade from there. Of course, I know this camera will never be made because the YouTube community would the YouTube camera community or filmmaking community or whatever you want to call it, they'll just blast a camera that's so simple. They won't have it, so the camera companies will never make something like that, but here's the hoping that they do. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the picture. It's always nice when you get to your last shot and see a huge thumbprint right on your ND filter. That's pretty sweet. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to, and we'll see you on the next one.